Parsha? Behar. Good. We left off talking about Shemitah. After Shemitah, we talk about Yovel. Here we go. So if you look at Yovel, right, it starts in verse 14. So it says to us that it's going to be a Jubilee year, Yovel. It shall be holy for you. From the field you may eat its crops. So it's kind of like Shemitah year. And look what happens. Look at verse 14. Somebody read 14. In Japanese. English, of course.
Sale to your fellow or make a purchase from the land of your fellow.
Right.
Do not aggrieve one another.
Do not what?
Aggrieve.
Correct. What does that mean?
Don't harass or don't be harsh and
Okay.
haggling.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. Al tonu ach ish et achiv. We have a mitzvah here that is called hona'ah. Hona'ah means, we're going to check Rashi. Al tonu zo hona'at mamun. Hona'at mamun means that you're not allowed to cheat other people for money. For example, Bernie's got a brand new car, right? It's a 2016 Lamborghini, fully loaded, with speakers but only plays Hasidic music.
So then he's dropped the price.
What? Right. Right. It's the whole time one song. You can only play one song. Bar Yochai. Could you imagine? You're driving around Lamborghini with Bar Yochai. And you want to, and then you drive and some guy hits your car, scratches it up. And you figure you could take some nail polish and just go over the scratches and sell it as a brand new car. You're going to roll the miles back. That is what what's what the Torah says you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to do any sort of cheating where you are harming someone else's money. You are not allowed to give false impression to make more money. There are two types of ona'ot in the parsha. One is ona'at dvarim. Ona'at dvarim is when you say something, trying to give somebody a false impression. For example, I know that Aaron is not going to come to my house for Shabbos. I know, you just can't. Whatever, you're afraid of heights, you're afraid of the buses, you're tied down to the yeshiva. And I say, I would love you should come over to my house for Shabbos. I know that he will never come, but I invite him anyway. But my invitation is what? To garner favor in his eyes, even though, so he thinks, well, Rabbi Matalon is really not.
It's kind of meaningless if you know.
What?
I'm not going to come.
No, but you don't know that I know.
Oh.
You're thinking, wow, he's so nice. He was inviting me. What?
People do that all the time with wedding invitations.
Why?
Yeah, we send them to people. Oh, we know they're not going to come anyway.
Well, they'll get money.
But you're saying you're wrong in this situation.
Yeah, not
When
him.
someone sends out a wedding invitation, he wants the other person to come to his wedding. He
Correct.
wants people at his wedding. No,
They
he
think
wants
they
people.
feel that they have to invite this person.
No, that's not.
They know they're not gonna
Not
come.
people.
It's a suggestion.
Not people that really want to get married.
You're getting credit
For example, let's say,
They don't get invited.
I'll give you the case.
There's not a reason.
Can I give you, I'm sorry. Maybe you should sit over here.
Then he won't.
Grandma has a birthday. Okay? You call grandma every Friday. And you call grandma on Friday. And she says, oh, that's so nice of you to remember my birthday. You had no idea it's her birthday. You just call every Friday. Do you tell her the truth? Or do you say, yeah, happy birthday, of course I remembered.
Yeah, isn't there?
What?
Say happy birthday, but don't claim you remember.
But she says, you remembered my birthday.
Yeah, but you're gonna hurt her feelings if you say no, I didn't remember your birthday.
white
So in
lie.
a way,
It's
you-
no white lie.
Offering that you remembered it.
It'll
She's
also
assuming
remind her
it
of
was
your
different.
honesty. Isn't there a thing with embarrassment, like saying it would make her feel?
It would hurt her feelings.
But the question is, are you being truthful? You're pretending. You are pretending that you remembered her birthday.
But you're not. Like,
But you didn't. Yeah, you didn't say. I didn't say anything. I just said, "Hey, Grandma," and she said, you remembered my birthday. You're the only grandson. I'm going to leave my house to you." What are you going to say? Yes, I am the only one that remembered your birthday. I love the house. I would cherish it, would keep every piece of furniture that you've had with the nylon there
So it
forever.
seems like that's an example of what this is talking about.
The point of onad dvarim is that you cannot give a false impression. Let's say, people do this. Like, "Oh, I bought this special wine for you." No, you didn't. It was on sale. You bought it because it was on sale. But you were whipping it out because you're your friend, you're on a date. I bought a special wine for you.
You know they don't like wine.
That was just
so
a
you-
present you got from somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. That is, you are trying to garner favor in someone's eyes, which is based on false information. Ona'ah. Hona'ah. Yeah. You're not allowed to do that.
Well, the thing is about that, Rabbi, is that sometimes it's more making someone else feel better about themselves than it is garnering favor in your eye because of what.
But if you make
No,
them
no,
feel...
no, man. If you're really taking out that bottle to make the guy feel happy, if you're telling your grandmother, yes, I remember your birthday, not to hurt her feelings, you're deep inside, not because of the house. You know what I mean? Not because you want the house.
So you're saying we
It's
should
different.
tell grandma
It's
that
different.
we
It's different.
forgot.
I didn't say
situation.
that.
But some people, like me, I know myself. I would, if she offered me her house, I would be like, hey, yeah, remember your birthday for the house. Not,
So the
not
best
for
thing to do is
feelings.
not answer it.
You know what I mean?
And just go on to something else.
Again, it really depends what you have inside.
And
I'm
Rabbi
not-
Kaplan's-
The best thing to do is remember grandma's
Rabbi
birthday.
Kaplan's book,
Yeah.
there's countless and countless stories and examples of rabbis being, not lying, but being somewhat bleak about what they're doing in order to...
Like, give me an
For
example.
their benefit or for their
there's-
Talmud's benefit?
There's one where...
But for their own benefit?
For their
No,
own
it-
benefit, then they have a problem.
The whole
Again,
show
for
is
their
for
own
their own
benefit, they have a
benefit.
problem.
Saying no.
It's not on us when
No,
they
hold
want
on.
better for their
Let's
kid.
I'll give you a case on the shidduch. You went on a date with a girl once, and you got really lucky. She wants a second date. You go on a second date. You make plans for a third date, but then you find out something that you're not going to marry.
There's no way.
You're not going to marry. Should you go on the third date?
No.
Why?
Because she's gonna get hurt.
No, because that's on the advarim. Or you walk into a store, right? You walk into a store and you pick up, how much is this? Oh, really? How much is that? Really? How much is this? That was considered on the advarim. Why? Because you're giving a false impression to the guy, to the salesperson, because he's thinking that what?
You're gonna buy.
You're going to buy. So
That's why
he's...
shopkeepers in Israel always get really mad at me when I just look around and ask questions.
Uh-huh.
I
But-
just thought they were
Okay, but your
rude.
Torah is
What?
different.
It's
It's different. Your Torah, right?
I don't know about that. They just have bad manners. I don't know about that, but...
Have you ever been to one where they just stare at you the entire time you're in there?
They said if you're not gonna buy, get out.
How would you ask?
I was going to buy it, but I don't know.
Because you need
What?
to know, how would you ask about a price? Because if you're final decision.
So you could say, when you walk into a store, I'm not buying today. I'm just comparing prices. Is that, and would you mind telling me what the prices are? If the guy says, get out, then,
Rabbi, but
then-
why? Not necessarily. If let's say you're going into
Here,
store,
look at-
you're
don't
comparing
get mad.
prices. No,
Don't get mad.
I think everybody has a right. You have a store. You have a more expensive price. If you're cheaper, I'm going to buy it from you. If let's say you're not buying at all, right? You're just coming to look at prices. That's
Yes.
another story.
That's what
But if
that's
let's
the
say you really
case.
want to buy,
Some places it's polite to just buy one thing as a token. Like buy like one cheap thing, like a candy bar. Like just so you're not in the store and not buying it.
No, but that is, but
Buy
I
one
would say,
cigarette or
but it, on the advarim, and on mammon are really dependent on the culture and the society that you are living in. So, for example, in our society today, most shop owners expect people to, they know that not everyone who walks into their store is going to buy. They know it. That is, they don't expect you when you walk in that you're going to fork 100 shekels over just because you walked in the store. So it also, you have to be aware, on the advarim, it's not only what you want, but what is the normal expectation in society. I'll tell you a story that happened to me. We were looking to buy an apartment, and somebody said there's an apartment for sale, and the price is, I don't know, let's just say 1,000,000 shekels. Okay? So, and I said, is that the price? He says, yeah, that's what the owner wants. I'm representing the owner. I could get him down a little bit, 10,000 shekels, 20,000, but not much. I said, okay. A neighbor comes to me and says, you know that apartment for 1,000,000 shekels? The owner actually wants to sell it for 400,000. But the guy that is selling it wants to make 600,000. Whatever the ratio is. It wasn't really, it was 1.4, and he wanted 1,000,000, and the guy was making 400,000. So I said, well, that's onad dvarim. That's Torah says you can't do that. That is, you're representing saying that the apartment is 1,000,000.
On the agent's part.
Correct. And the agent is telling me the owner wants, I could get him down a little bit. No, the agent wants only 500,000, let's say. You were the one who raised the price because you want to make another 500,000.
And the agent raised the
The
price.
agent,
So the owner
correct.
didn't want that much.
Correct.
So the agent,
So what's the case here, Rabbi? Do you have to stay with the agent, or can you go to straight to the owner?
Well, it's not a question. Well, I didn't sign anything with the agent, but we weren't, going to buy it. But I was really kind of taken aback. I said, "Is it this? What the Torah says? Don't do that. You're telling me one thing, and you raise the price. So if I bought it, I would pay this price. Only half of it goes to the owner, and the other half goes to you. Shouldn't you tell me? You should tell me. Listen, we're asking for 1,000,000, and." So I asked the rabbi, because I didn't know. So he said, it's not. Why? He says, because the assumption in Israel is that when you speak to an agent that is representing an apartment, they raise the price to cover whatever it is. I said, but 400,000? He says, yeah. It is something that it is assumed that you should be aware of it. And therefore it's not on Advar. So then I said, can I tell other people? Shouldn't I warn other people? I said, no. Because that's Lashon Hara.
not protecting other people from.
It's not a question of
Not
protecting.
protecting.
They have a basic, I didn't have that
Derek
assumption.
Harris to do.
No, I didn't. That's business in Israel. So I didn't have that assumption. So to me, it was crazy. But apparently, all Israelis know, they're aware that there is this sort of a markup.
He's a real estate agent. That's how he makes his money. They don't
It's not
pay
a real
him.
estate agent. It's not a real estate. No. It's not a real estate agent. Let's not get carried away.
Why did the letters change after you had dollar?
On Tetvav,
And they use
because you can't write Yud and the letter Hey next to each other because it's the holy name of God.
I thought all four letters together are the holy.
Only two, also two.
How many names of God are there?
Lots. I don't say tons. That would be, because
Every name-
I don't know, but we don't know what his assumption is. If his assumption is to take you literally, then it's not tons.
Would that be
Even
Hanan
if you write
Devarim?
them all, every name represents something else. One's,
There is a teaching that says that the whole Torah is one long name of God, or that it's all many names of God, one next to each other. It just depends on how you parse out the letters.
Like 50, 100, 1,000,
Keep going.
2,000.
Yeah, 600,000.
Oh.
I don't know. It's lots and lots and lots. There's names of Hashem that have 72 letters. There are names of Hashem that has 42 letters. There's name of Hashem that has 4 letters. There's all sorts of permutations. So there's lots and lots of names. But the halacha is that there's certain, that combination of Yud and the letter Hey, those is a name of God, and hence you can't erase it.
And Vav. The next one is also.
So
I
yeah,
mean, Yud and.
Yud and Vav also. So that's why it says Tet Vav and Tet Zayin. And then we go back to Yud Zayin. So now we're talking about business conduct. I just want to, again, we have to be honest in our business dealings. And marketing is always about trying to present your product the best way to get the most money for the least amount of investment. Right? You just have to be very, very careful that there's no hona'ah here. Okay. Jubilee year, several things happen. What happens? All property reverts back to their original familial owner. Okay, right? So when we entered the land of Israel, right, the land was divided to people. Moshe Rabbeinu did a lot and divided the land of Eretz Israel to the different members of the tribes. Correct? Each tribe got a section, and each tribe then allocated the land to the members. And that land is perpetually theirs. If, for example, due to financial hardship, a person sells his land, okay, then in the 50 years, on the 50th year, he would get it back. Not the 50th year from the sale, but 50th year from the cycle of counting 7-year cycle. So if he sold it on year 42, he would get it in year 50. If he sold on the year 3, he would get it on the year 50.
What if a Jew sells land to like an Arab and then they
That is
they
an
don't
issue.
wanna leave?
That is an issue as the whether deraisa you're allowed to even sell land to non-Jews.
So do they put it in
It's
contracts?
usher.
Like that this is part of it? Like so if you sell this is meant for land being sold to other Jews.
According to the Torah, you're not allowed to sell land to non-Jews. So if a Jew who lives according to the Torah wants to sell land, he has a challenge, which is a big issue in the state of Israel. It's a big debate about this. About, because the state says you can't discriminate, you can't, but like, this is halacha, what do you want me to do? This land is the only piece of land that belongs to the Jewish people anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, this is it. We don't have anything else. Everything else, people can take from us, which they did.
So what do you do, Rabbi?
You don't.
I'm saying, like, if let's say a guy would approach right now, and I come and I see him, and I say, he's like, what do I do? Raise the price?
Say, not for sale.
What if he goes to the government?
What if? The Torah says, it's like,
I don't want to sell.
it's like, it's no different.
Let him look at it and just be like, you know what?
Like Shabbat.
My wife just called me.
You could say, it's like Shabbat. It's like Shabbat. There's lots of reasons why you should work on Shabbat or do malachas on Shabbat. But the Torah says you can. Make every effort you can not to. It's an issue.
Is this only land in Israel or even
Yeah, Israel. Eretz Israel. The biblical boundaries of Eretz Israel. Okay. So in Yovel, it returns. Slaves also. Slaves are freed on Yovel. Okay? We can get into details of this more. I don't really want to. But this is what it talks about. The next few sections talk about Yovel. So most of the Parsha is Yovel, as you can see. It tells you also, now if you jump to verse 35, it tells us that when you make a loan, if you make a loan, you are not allowed to charge interest.
To a Jew.
Correct. It says, because the verse says, for your brother, right? Al tikach meito neshech v'tarbit, v'eret amelokecha v'chai achicha imach.
But do you have the option to say no to a loan?
It's a mitzvah to loan to a Jew. You can say no in certain situations. If you have the money, and there's no reason that the person's not going to pay you, that is, if you know the guy's a deadbeat, then you don't have to pay him. You don't have to loan him the money. But if there's no evidence that he's a deadbeat, he just needs help, so then you have a mitzvah to loan the money. But if there is evidence that he's a deadbeat, you don't have to. Okay? So the verse says, do not give him your money for interest and do not give your food for an increase. Right? So this is really a very important issue. Let's say you have an apple orchard and you gave him a kilo of apples that he's going to bring back. And the price of apples were $1 a kilo. When he brings them back, the price of a kilo is $1.50. And he's bringing you a kilo of apples. Is there an issue of ribis here? Is there a problem with
No, you
Are you
gave him
making money from
apples. He's
waiting?
giving you back apples.
If you make money from waiting.
It's his
it's
problem the
it's
dollar went
ribbis.
down.
Ribbis.
No?
It's his problem. No. It's
You didn't give him money. You gave him apples. He could have ate the apples. He could have sold the apples. He could have done anything
But
with the
you
apples.
gave
You're
him
giving
something-
back apples. You're giving him
but
the
the-
weight piece
but
of
the
apples.
value-
He gave you this.
But the value
Kilo of
of what?
apples,
But
that's
the
it.
value
Can you
of
repeat the
that.
case?
What?
Can you repeat the case?
Yes. On January 1st, the guy comes and he wants to borrow 1 kilo of apples from you. And the deal is he's going to pay you back in March 1st. Okay? And January 1st, a kilo of apples is worth $1. March 1st, a kilo of apples is worth $1.50.
I think I know the answer already.
So he brings you a kilo of apples. So now what happened?
I think it's ribbis.
It's ribbis.
Because you're making money
What
from
if,
waiting.
let's say, the deal was that you're going to give him back apples?
Yeah, apples.
But the value
You bring the apples. But the value changed.
Yeah,
What
but
if the
when-
guy's going to eat the apples?
What about it?
when
He's
borrowing-
eating the apples. You're giving him less apples in return.
What? No, he's When not you- going to have the apples just to look at them. He's going to eat the apples and then he'll return with new apples.
Yeah.
Throw a
It
party
makes
in
more
his house.
sense.
He's giving out apples.
Yeah, it makes sense.
way I was
It's not
trying to-
really-
Wait,
Why
I want to
should
hear.
you
What?
borrow
I'm not
apples?
understanding you.
What's your name?
It's Gabi.
Gabi, please, your floor is yours.
It's a parallel case to the one with the real estate agent, in which it's a generally accepted. I mean, when he borrowed the apples, he must have understood the generally accepted principle of inflation.
Oh, but inflation is ribbis. Is interest. To pay somebody, if you tell somebody, I'm giving you $1, pay me back $1, right? Pay me $2, that's ribbis.
This is different because this isn't a monetary
What if let's say he
amount.
forgives her?
If you said,
But what's the difference? What's the difference? Everything has value.
if you said I bought $10, I bought $1 for 10 rand in June, and now it's July and it's $1 is 12 rand. Do you have to give me 12 rand or 10 rand? That's a different case because that's
Why?
dealing with money.
Why?
If you make a profit
But-
from waiting, it's
You
ribbis.
have to return the amount of apples, the same amount of apples that you borrowed. 'Cause you
Why?
didn't borrow money from
Why
them.
aren't you returning the value of the apples that you borrowed?
Because you didn't borrow
The
the
deal
money,
was you're
the
giving him
value
back
of the
apples. You're not giving
Why?
him
But the
back
guy could have
now.
sold the apple.
He could have said to you, okay, give me, go buy, here's 10 apples, and when
So-
you give it back.
But
me,
according
give
to
me-
you, it means that if I borrowed $1, I would have to bring the same dollar back.
No, not the same dollar.
Why not? But the apple, this apple, the kilo apples you gave me were worth $1.
Yeah.
These apples are nicer. They're worth $1.50.
The nicer apples are the same.
To make
Like-
the
They're not.
point
Well,
that you-
now they're worth $1.50. They're more
I'm not asking you to
expensive.
come back with nicer apples.
But
I'm
if
asking you to give
you're
me
still
back my
making a
apples.
profit. If you make
You
a
can't
profit
get.
by
Wait a
waiting,
second.
it's ribbis.
Wait. So now you deal with Asher then. Asher said, when you gave me the apples, you didn't say, put these apples in the museum and preserve them and bring them back in 3 months.
No, I'm not saying that. But
You
I'm
gave
saying
him the
give me
apples to
same
eat?
quality apples. I'm not looking for the
Yes,
best
but
of
that
the
that
best.
same quality now is worth more.
Because it commands a higher price at market.
Correct. So
So
therefore,
you make
it's
a profit
ribbis.
by
Correct.
waiting, which is ribbis.
That's
But
ribbis.
Then it's the other principle of if you gave him less apples, then it's not fair.
Why
Then
not
you're
fair?
stealing apples from him.
But you borrowed. No, you
have
borrowed.
10
You
apples.
borrowed. You borrowed a kilo of apples that are worth $1. It is if you borrowed $1.
No,
It's
then
not about the number of apples, it's about the value of the amount of apples.
That's the key.
Then
Because-
you should have asked to borrow $1 and use that dollar to buy the apples.
What's the difference?
Well, then that's a separate mindset entirely.
No, so the guy says, I don't have any cash. If you want, I'll just give you the apples.
Well, then it's a different mindset.
No, it's the same
It's a
thing.
different philosophy.
That's not, Gabi, that's the whole point. There's no difference to it if you think about it. When you borrow something, it's not, if you borrow, let's say, someone's snowblower. Does it snow in South Africa?
No.
Okay, so I can use the case of snowblower because you're not going to argue on this snowblower. But those of you who know snowblowers, you can have a whole argument with me. Okay, so you borrow a guy's snowblower
Yeah.
because you have sand on your driveway. It should work. It should work in theory. Okay? And you expect the guy to bring you back the same snowblower. No?
No, a snowblower.
Ah, that's what it works. Somebody says, "Can I borrow your car? Can you loan me your car?" What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I give him my Rolls Royce. It comes
understand.
back with Toyota. Like,
Yeah, he goes, "I give you what's
Take
it?
back my car.
What's
I
in
want
a
with
car?"
four wheels. I want my car.
That's it.
I want my Rolls Royce.
With my dent, with my music, I had.
It's a different case then. If
That's
Excellent.
exactly what I'm saying, Rabbi. If you give the example with the car, right?
No, but the
I think
car's
it's
not
$20,000
apples.
car. You're coming back with a $20,000 car. It's insane.
Good.
Why? It's a car, 4 wheels. It gets you to the next corner. No, I want my apples back.
Wait.
Oh.
But
You don't want 3-month-old apples.
right, 3-month-old apples.
Okay, but I want the value of my
Value.
Right. But I'm talking in a sense of eating.
Rabbi,
if
we
I
call
eat 10
that.
apples, I'll be full. If I eat 1 apple, I'm just gonna go.
But
out
if
and
10 apples today cost what 8 apples used to
I'm not
cost
talking about a sense
back
of money. I'm talking
then,
about a sense of.
but it's a value. Scott, wait. Let me check with Scott.
Couldn't this premise also apply to just regular currency, though? For
Yes.
example, I give, let someone borrow 10 shekels when 10 shekels were $2, and then a few months later when they have to pay it back, 10 shekels is now worth about 50.
But it all depends on what if you borrowed 10 shekels, he's paying you the 10 shekels.
About
But
$100,
hasn't-
you pay $100.
In my example, hasn't the cost of a shekel depreciated?
So shouldn't he pay you back?
Correct, but he's giving you he's giving you the shekel in a society that's shekel.
If you both live in America, then you have to deal with the dollar exchange.
But there is an issue with that. It's a big issue of deflation and inflation.
So shouldn't he give you back adjusted for inflation? If you loan money,
In theory.
then it won't be.
In theory, but in theory. Yes, and we'll stop with this last comment.
Isn't there something inherent, like in the borrowing of $1 or the borrowing of an apple, that's different than the borrowing of a car? Meaning the car is reusable.
Correct.
Should someone give you back a car, money for gas, money for the
fungible.
wear and tear?
It also depends.
It's exchangeable.
When Rebus is also on the joy that there was a guy who donated money to yeshiva, and he got a letter of thank you for his donation, and they wrote in the letter all these superlatives, and they said there's maybe an isser of Rebus here. He donated the money, he gets his schar for the mitzvah. But now you're giving him all these and you get a free seat in the shul, and you get, to come to the Rosh Yeshiva's house for a meal. That all this seems to be like you're getting a lot more than you put in. I'll bring you the case. It's a very interesting case of a donation of there could be an issue of ribbis when you're giving somebody thank you for what they gave you. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll end here, continue tomorrow.